Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for attending this online free lessons by Acad Systems. My name is Akil Bajuri, and today I would like to present about the clock points and how we're going to deal with clock points in Autodesk Recap. Okay, as you all aware, as we are moving towards the BIM digitalizations, everything is going to be digitalized throughout the process. And we all know that since the beginning of BIM, we have to digitalize everything for every single model, including the survey model. Okay, and before we go further into this topic, okay, and before we go further with this topic, I would like to ask your background. What is your background, either you're from architect, civil, or whatever that you are. So please answer these polls. Okay, so for those who are watching these sessions in our Facebook Live, you can also feel free to comment while watching these lessons. Okay, thank you very much for your answer. Okay. All right. So before we go further into our topic, so let us go through our homepage, acadsystems.com. So if you are visiting this acadsystems.com, you will see a lot of information regarding the Autodesk solutions, including the latest promotions available for AutoCAD and 3ds Max in July. And also, if you are interested to join another topics in our upcoming online lessons, feel free to get into this page and then go into further description to understand what is going to be happening on that day. Okay, and then once you have done with the registration, then feel free to visit our page as well. If you have any other issues with your Autodesk software or any other related issues with your current use software, feel free to reach out us by sending us the inquiry, by fill up the name, okay, email, phone number, and message. Our team will get back to you as soon as possible. Right. Okay, so let us get back to the topic. So what we're going to do today is more to clock point processing. Okay, more to clock point processing, starting from how we're going to scan the project file or the raw files, especially from the surveyor, and how we're going to import that how we're going to import that into the Autodesk Recap Pro. Okay, and then we're going to extract that point, and we're going to do some sort of scan settings and also some advanced settings to set the coordinate so it makes sure it reaches the right survey stations. Okay, and we're going to launch the project after the index scans happen. And once we're going to launch the project, then we will see the models inside Autodesk Recap. And after that, it's your options. You have options to export the model into Civil 3D or Revit. Okay, so I will show you step by step on how we're going to do this. It's very straightforward. So why it is going to be very friendly, because the user interface is very easy to understand. Okay, and if you are not a surveyor, you don't have to worry. You will get to understand the points. You will get to understand the data straight away by using Recap. And Recap, as you all aware, it was there since you installed Revit. If you have install any other construction related software, Recap was there, but you were not using it because you're not aware on how you're going to use this Recap for Okay, and okay, let's start by going to this recap. Okay, let's say we're gonna have new raw data from the surveyor. So I'm gonna create new projects and we're going to import the point cloud. Okay, and we're gonna give a new name. For instance, if I'm going to give a name, let's say test 01, I'm gonna proceed, and you can have the folders imported into this platform. You can also drag the file and you can also select files to import. And for instance, the data that I'm looking at is somewhere here. Okay, click open. Okay, and in here you will see if you have the process data, you don't have to worry about the intensity clipping. Okay, because intensity clipping is meant for the unprocessed raw data. It means that you usually the surveyor will do that for you in any forms. Okay, and you will receive the cloud points data, and you don't have to worry about intensity clipping because the points, all the points should be available there. And what you need to do is going to the advanced settings and define the coordinate systems. So these coordinate systems, you have to define the current coordinate systems. For instance, this project is located at Sabah, so they'll be using the survey station at Timalai, for instance. Okay. So this is the current processing coordinate systems. And you also need to set the target. So why we need to set the target? Because if you're going to export this raw data into another software like Civil 3D, InfraWorks, and also Revit, so you should have the target point set for the same one so that the coordination point will be the same. Okay, let's say 4298 and click OK. Okay, so that is why it's very important to have this. If you didn't set this earlier, so your point will be turned to 0, then it is not the right position to coordinate your project files. And then what you need to do next is to import the files. Here down there, we got the import files. And while processing, before we go for indexing the scans, so it takes a few seconds to indexing the scans. Okay. And this process is totally depends on the raw data files that you receive from the survey. If that data is really big, let's say it covers like 10 hectare or 100 hectare, so it would take longer time. So for this time around, it's not that big. So it's preparing the data. Okay, as you are aware that this is one straightforward process. Okay, and launch the project. So once the model is ready, you will see this data taken by the UAV, okay, or we call it as drone. So that data taken from the drones was exported into the LiDAR format. So you know that LiDAR is taking out all the points, and this surveyor has already cleaned up, has already processed the unnecessary points. Because if you are not processing the points, so whatever that you measure from the UAV or the drone, it measures the roof, it measures whatever that the highest point that it will detect because it uses light detection. Okay, and this is how the end data that you will get. And for instance, if I have the top view here, okay, and let's say you're going to focus on certain area. Okay, what you can do is you can either select by window. Okay, you can select those areas by points, or you can create the fence. Okay, fence means it's workable if you have the site boundary info. Okay, for instance, you have this area that you're going to work with. This, let's say this is the site boundary for that particular project. Okay, for instance. Okay. And then when you have selected this area, what you can do is you can clipping out or you can delete all the other areas that is not needed, okay, by click at the clip outside and then go clipping the outside. Then this grid center point is actually the center of the coordinations point that we have set earlier, because when you do the UAV scanning, you will have another station standing at the points to define the scanning distance and so on. So this is that location for that particular object, the scanner object, okay? And from this point, what you can do is to further analyze the data. If let's say you're going to look at the elevations by color, so it says here the red color is having the height of 177 meter. Once you reach the green area, you will set to 193.5 meter elevated points, and as it turns to blue, it goes to 210 meter, and as it goes higher, we will see that there is a 2 to 7 meter range available. So in here, you will see directly the shading exactly. If you go with this view, okay, you will see which area is having the highest slope. It meets the indication. Okay, so you can see it has the orange color there and green area for the upper level. Okay. Okay, and we are so lucky today because all the points, unneeded point is already processed and taken out from the surveyor. And next thing, if you really need the points from this empty area, you will go with your total stations, okay, manually go to site and measure this point exactly, or you can just create a graded plan, graded model in Civil 3D later on, okay. And when you have these models ready, okay, you can also set the distance. For instance, if you go with top view, okay, and you can measure the distance, okay, and you will see the road width here is around 13 meters, okay, and the distance from one point to another point, okay, it has to be points. So if you're going to measure this area, so it will be the 10 meters. Okay, so you can simply measure this from this recap software before you go further into the detailing software. Okay, and what you need to do next is you can also update the origin. Okay, so why we need to update the origins? Okay, sometimes when you wanted to have the exact origin point and it seems to be wrong in the software, you can simply change this information if you have the accurate origin coordinates, and it will exactly move the object into the right origin coordinates. So for now, origin coordinate is at this position. So this is the origin coordinates that we are currently working on. Okay. Right. So assessing or registering the survey data, especially from the LiDAR format, is very straightforward. And what you will do next is you're going to move, or you're going to export this. And before you export this, you have to make sure you save this as the RCP file. So you can save, let's say, the test one here. Okay, go to save, overwrite the project. Okay, and now is the time to move into the Civil 3D. Okay, for instance, we have options to work with Civil 3D, or we can use InfraWorks to merge with your current Bing model. Okay, and then you can also insert that model into Revit as your reference. So this is the exact same recap data, okay, taken from Autodesk recap also. Okay, and you will see In Revit, the setting will be a little bit different because you have to set the project coordinates, project base and survey point base, so that it will be at the right position for you. So that is the exact recap point that you will see from recap there, and being inserted into Revit by clicking at the insert cloud point cloud here, and it will read out this model like this. So it's not editable. Okay, what you can do is to make it as a reference, and while waiting for the updated model from the infra modelers or civil modelers, so you can see the actual site conditions here for your design, for instance. And that is in Revit. So what you can do with processing, the next stage of processing is by going to Civil 3D. Okay, and what you can do next is to insert this recap data. So attach the file, go to test one, and then going to open. Okay, and even though we work on the coordinate systems earlier in recap, but doesn't mean you have to set this coordinate inside the insert the position in Civil 3D, because Civil 3D is automatically read the position. So that is the reason why I didn't do anything for this XYZ for now values. So I will just simply click OK for this, and it will bring you the data straight away into this. And what you can do further is to generate the surface from the model. Okay, and I won't show anything related to Civil 3D workflow for this kind of situations, but what I'm going to show you is the generated surface. Okay, so this is actually the generated surface from the same topo surface, the cloud points that we generated. So you will see there is a contour line here, okay, and then we have the elevated points here. Is around, we got the value of 190, 189, 188, and so on. So we got the lower points on the right side, and I just created this alignment to show the difference between so to show the profile if you are going to prove that profile is workable for your project. Okay, and this is the profile, okay, that I created from the land. So for the alignment that I created here, okay, and we will see there is some areas that need to be cut and fill. So for road designers, for any kind of infra workers and modelers, if you're going to model this up in Civil 3D, it's still workable. So I'm here to prove to you that when you have the cloud points ready from the surveyor, you should know, first, you should know the right format that is workable for your workflow. For instance, in this case, Autodesk Recap reads LiDAR files very, very well. So if you're going to use other formats like GeoTIFF, other format like JPEG format or any kind of photo, so it's also workable, but it may be a little bit hard to generate the surface. And the surface that is created, so this is just a piece of the survey file that I took, okay? And if I'm going to view this surface, okay, okay, it's not really clear here, but it's okay. But so long that you, because the area that I took is quite flat, okay, but you will see there is the difference between the triangular irregular network lines here. So all the themes, TINs, sections, or TINs, option components here is being created from the survey model. Okay, and that is how we're going to work with recap. And there are so many things that we can do with recap, because when you are using recap, let's say you are going to use a recap photo, so that you can simply use your phone, that the photos that captured by your phones also. And if you have your mini drones, it's also workable for you to get the data. And now is the trend for people to do scan to BIM. Means that if you have the existing old building that need to do renovations, so by using Recap, you can register all the scan data if you are using the Faro scanner or Leica BLK 360 scanner. So all the 360 scanner can be used really well, can be imported very well in Recap Pro. Okay, and by using Recap Pro, you should enhance your workflow digitally rather than waiting for the common survey drawings. Okay, sometimes it may not be accurate, but by having this data in Recap Pro, all the scan data shows the accurate levels. Okay, you can see exactly how accurate is these points taken from the LiDAR. Okay, and especially when you are dealing with the road design here, okay, you should know that there is the actual slope here, and there is a building around, and there is it could be some point sort of residential area on top of the hills. Okay, right? So that is Autodesk Recap Pro. So you can get used to it because Recap is being in your PC. I believe if you are using Revit, Recap is automatically installed just to make sure you have this Recap. Even though you don't have the Recap Pro, it's still okay. But if you have subscribed the AC collections, then Recap Pro is included. So you don't have to worry about to purchase a new software again. And for Recap can be used regardless your disciplines. If you are the surveyor, it's good for you. If you are the architects, okay, if you are the civil engineers, it also can be used really well with your disciplines, because Recap is going to register, or is going to take in all data taken from the scan data, especially the cloud points. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, please feel free to send out the questions in our chat room. Okay, and if you are waiting for the questions, I'm going to send out another polls for you to answer. Okay. All right, so thank you for answering the polls. Okay, and if you guys have any other issues regarding your software or jobs, so all right, thank you very much also. Thank you very much, CCW, for joining these sessions. Okay, so if that is all before we finish, so don't forget to visit our websites, and if you have any issues with your software or technical issues for whatever things that you have, feel free to visit our help desk and reach out to us by entering as guests. And then from that, you can fill up your name, okay? You can fill up your subject matters if, let's say, you are having issues with import files error, for instance, okay? And fill up your email address, company name, and further description, okay? And don't forget to attach files when needed and change the category to KL or Penang. We have another branch in Penang as well, okay? And set the priority to urgent if you need our help urgently. So thank you very much, guys, for joining this session. Hope to see you again for the upcoming free online lessons by Acad Systems. Thank you very much. Bye.